Good afternoon, everybody, both in the hall and also there are many who are attending through YouTube live streaming, which we are doing. And welcome to this panel discussion, which is Purpose with Impact. And we are here to explore how purpose, when put into practice, can have a very, very positive and larger impact both on organizations and society. And our panelists today will bring a lot of experience in corporate governance, social responsibility, communication, and mentorship. So let's straight away dive into it. So let me start with Veena, you. So at your rich experience with Societe Generale, you created a governance framework for 60,000 employees across 3 countries and redefining 20 plus processes and building a successful indicator matrix. So if you take us through this experience of yours, how did these efforts translate into tangible impact for communities?
Sure. Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. It's 16,000 employees, not 16. 16, yeah. Though I would have liked 60,000, it's 16. So the BFS, it also depends upon what the industry you're working in. So BFSI industry is a highly regimented. You're answerable to the regulators. You need to maintain transparency, and I think also coming from the banking industry, you have to be having the highest work ethics, transparency. That's where the governance comes into play. And for businesses, there is a framework that the regulators provide. You have to do it. There's no two way about it. For platforms like People Practice, because I was in charge, responsible for the human resource, CSR, as well as communication. We are still evolving from how the regulatory framework is in place and how it impacts each industry. So for HR, maybe to some extent it's mature. Maybe for CSR and communication, not much. And it is probably progressing as we go. So governance comes into play every department. And it is all a chain reaction from one department to the other. And so it does in HR, communication, as well as CSR. So I'll talk about just the HR and the CSR part of it. Probably India is the only country which has a CSR Act. I don't know how many other countries have. And we have the privilege of the 2% as well, profit, right? Which means it's a responsible job to do. You have to demonstrate how you're using the 2% because you are subject to money laundering issues, whitewashing issues, or whatever we call it. So we have to be extremely careful. So what we did was we had to rebuild the CSR method of operating in the country. And this prototype or blueprint or whatever we want to call it was kind of lifted, shifted, implemented in other geographies that we operated in. So what we did, and we did well, was the entire life cycle of a CSR. You know, everybody says, you know, I want to do good to the community, I want to give back to the community, which is all sounding very good, it's motherhood statement. But how are you going to do it? Why are you doing it? What is it? Exactly what is the outcome? So at every level, we had to put clarity, transparency. Okay, we are now opening up, the website is there, we are opening up for NGOs to apply. So that's one clarity. 20 NGOs are applying. How do you choose? What are the what are the criteria of choosing? Because it could be conflict, no? We will have so many people with conflict who are getting the NGO from the back door. So how do you demonstrate that you have chosen an NGO for the right reason, for the right cause, and that is speaking to the vision of the organization? So that's step one. Then what is the project that you're going to choose? So we had a lot of projects. We had one on climate, we had one on sports, arts, music, education coming from underprivileged, especially for girl children, STEM education we focused on. And we had projects which was like 7 years, 10 years. So so I'll just talk about one project where we had to literally break our heads and get the framework up and running. We adopted a lake in Bangalore. Bangalore is a city of lake as well as traffic, but it's city of lake largely. So how do you develop a lake. Imagine how do you develop a lake. None of us knew how to do it. We had an NGO we partnered with, and they are probably the technical expert. So we had to ensure that the money is going, and there are crores of money involved as well. So you have to ensure that the money is going for the right reason. Every step of the project, you go and do a site audit. What is the outcome? You go check with the community whether they're receiving the benefit of that particular project. So you build structures in every step, build processes that speaks to the structure, build controls that will measure the project and the processes. And if there is a gap, a risk, how do you plug it in? One thing we learned that always measure what matters. So what mattered to us, that we want to give a lake to the city. And by doing so, we want to trigger employment direct as well as indirect. So there was direct beneficiaries and indirect beneficiaries. So how do you measure indirect and direct? So build that. So it was very fulfilling, as exciting and as, we all want to do good and all it sounds. What is important is the responsibility lies in building the structure, getting the process, controlling and monitoring the process and measuring the outcome. Because you're not doing it for 1 year, you have to do it for 10 years minimum, na? And if this process, if this framework continues, you've done a job well, right? We are all living a legacy, so that's what we did. Thanks. Yeah.
Thanks a lot. And this is one which you spoke, and I'm sure you were involved in 20 plus such processes. Let me come to Sherin, you. And Sherin, when we were talking, you spoke about this incident of teaching 2 children at your home and how that grew into teaching 50 slum children. And I also know that your daughter was also involved in this project when you were doing. And that eventually led you to probably become a lead CSR for global multinational WNS. And I think few days back you retired, but you are not going to give up. You started one more venture. So how did this personal initiative shape up your purpose-driven career?
Okay. Yeah, so good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me here. Very well said, Veena. Very well put. And I had a lovely conversation with Dr. Vikram a few days back. And that is when we said, that if something needs to be done, it needs to be done with the heart. And especially ventures where social responsibility is concerned, it needs to be not only have a purpose, but also it needs to have a particular direction in which we need to go with the purpose. Talking about my personal experience, when I was working in WNS as a sales person, one day my maid, Parvati, had tears in her eyes and she was very sad. And the reason being that her children were not getting the right kind of education or were not getting exposed to any kind of education, and she did not want them to lead the same life that she led. So I said, okay, we picked it up and I said, okay, let's start talking to them, teaching them. And then we were a little confident after a couple of months, and I took them to a English medium school close by home and got them admission. And my daughter, who was doing psychology at that time in Ferguson's, said that I will support mom, I will start teaching them. So it started with 2 children. And the other maids came to know that these children are being taught at home. So by and by, the children grew up to a number of 50. Right in my house, within this thing, they would enter the society so that they're not noisy. They would come in a line. My daughter was strict with that they don't disturb. So anyway, the little bit that started, then 50 slum children. And again, the purpose was that, if these children who are living around our home, if they get some kind of an education, obviously the environment becomes more peaceful and more engaging. And like I told Vikram the other day, I don't know whether how many of you believe it, but the universe works for you. So while this was happening in my house, very involuntarily we had started and we had started teaching. In my organization, I was offered the position of the lead CSR, saying that can you shift from sales to CSR? And it was like, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that this was happening. And I took up that role in my organization while all these things were happening at home. And the ball kept rolling, and here I am today.
Wow, great, great, fantastic. So sometimes it's professional to personal. In your case, it was personal to professional. Fantastic. So you were able to impact much more audience. Let me come to Rajeev you. And I was very impressed to see your career with Honda, imagining Japanese culture, that to 20 plus years you have given. And now you are heading Honda Foundation. So Rajeev, can you share an example of a CSR initiative where our own topic of purpose with impact was clearly demonstrated?
Okay. Good afternoon, and thank you for having me here. So as a core philosophy of Honda, Honda always wanted, to be a company which society wants to exist, which you all want to exist. Okay. Coming to the topic of purpose with impact. Okay. To me, purpose with impact is something, basically the purpose is basically moving beyond intent to action, right? So purpose gives us direction, but impact, ensures that the direction impacts lives, okay? So coming to example from Honda, so, we have been investing in various domains. Now, Honda being an auto company, our core background is basically the purpose of the company is provide mobility with safety. Okay, so that the impact is safety. Now, as Honda, we have set a global target of 2050 to have zero collision fatalities among all Honda two-wheelers and automobiles. This is a global target. 2050 by 2050. And across the globe, and to achieve 50% by 2030. Now to achieve this, okay, we have to align our other activities at the back end, right? So CSR completely aligns with all that. Now, the main pillar for us, our CSR investments is basically road safety. So our almost 35% of the CSR fund goes into road safety. Now, how we are doing is that it's not just giving awareness. So on the awareness front, we create awareness videos. For example, we started a concept of Sambhav Hai, which is a small short video on various social issues. Road safety also among being one of them. So we create these videos that is just for giving awareness, but then we also provide road infrastructures, and then how to create impact the lives of the people from the longer term perspective. A lot of work is being done. So that's all from the road safety perspective.
Thanks a lot. And thanks for bringing that aspect of CSR need not be out of your business core. We can be in the core of what we do, and we can still make a lot of impact. And if we can save lives on the road, I think that is the best contribution an automobile company can do. Thanks, Rajeev. Let me come to Pragati. So Pragati, now my question to you is about this project which you were involved, which is Phyllis India project. And you have mentored, you and other people in this project have mentored a lot of women leaders to challenge the workplace narratives. And in fact, when I was curating these questions and I was chatting with you, I was just trying to do a research. How many of top management are actually women? And to my surprise, across the globe, Fortune 500, not even 50. So I think if this is what you were involved in, there is a lot which both the gender will have to work and ensure that women leaders are there. So take us through this Phyllis India project. You have mentored women leaders to challenge workplace narratives. And how does this mentorship serve as a powerful vehicle for both purpose and culture change?
Thank you, Vikram sir, and afternoon, everyone. I think it's interesting. First, I think it's really important to say that my perspective on this panel will be a little bit different than what everybody else is, because I lead communications for an advertising network which brings together 3 incredible advertising agencies. So this particular project, which is called as the Phyllis Project, is basically named after a lady called Phyllis Robinson, who was the first ever female copywriter in the world. So she became the first copy chief in New York in a very male-dominated kind of space, and that is for whom this program sort of honors, right? So I think the name has a sort of bearing on what the purpose of this program is. And it's interesting because now DDB has been running, we piloted the program in India about 5 years back, and it's now extended to Asia as well. So we have people coming in from Hong Kong, Singapore, Korea, and other Asian markets. And it's interesting that actually the way women are in the workforce is sort of similar in almost a lot of cultures, right? And the first, I feel the first really, really important thing is long-term engagement, because we have in a span of 5 years actually seen a 10% rise in gender improvement, which is really, really big because, I mean, typically when you look at the way women enter the workforce, there are a large number of women entering the workforce, but it's kind of at the mid-level where women drop off, right? Because there are, you know, there's a whole lot of societal conditioning, and of course there are realities of running a home and being mothers and, you know, caregivers for elderly in your family. It's very, very real, and it's across cultures. And I think what the Phyllis Project has done really, really successfully is that it's a year-long mentorship program, right? So it's not like you do something for a month or you do something for a couple of months and it's done. It's a year-long mentorship program. And what it tackles is the way you think about yourself. I think that's the really, really big thing. Because I think we have a lot of self-limiting beliefs, and that sort of training to sort of understand that, analyze that, and fight against a lot of those internal battles, I think comes first. So there is this incredible leader by the name of Vanja Pillai, who's actually sort of the force behind the Phyllis Project. And when they were piloting the program and when they were speaking to women saying, okay, what do you want really in a mentorship program, you know, because most of them are pretty sort of cut and dry, and you know, you do like a couple of workshops and somebody comes and sort of gives you some gyan and you're kind of done, right? So I think when she started the journey, her first question was, what do you really want? And a part of those discussions that followed, many of them say that we don't feel. So I think when she started the journey, her first question was, what do you really want? And a part of those discussions that followed, many of them say that we don't feel we are enough. So there was a whole lot of imposter syndrome that was happening. One person on top, there's a lot of this nonsense that there's not enough space for, you know, everybody. I'm pretty certain there's a lot of space and room for growth for incredible women leaders. And I think this program has really done that fantastically well.
Wow, great. So I think any woman in the hall or in the YouTube link, if you feel that you are stuck and you need that push, you know whom to contact. So let me come to Veena, you. And CSR stands for Corporate Social Responsibility. You are part of a group which believes in ISR, Institution Social Responsibility. In fact, all the education institutions by and large are not for profit, so there's no need to, but you are in a family or in a body or in an organization which believes that even though you are not profit, you still have a room to give back. So take us through this ISR initiative and OIOP initiative which you are involved in, and what kind of impact, if any one example you can share.
So the South Indian Education Society, it's a 94-year-old institution for many of us who are not fully aware. And this is not a publicity stunt just because he's from SIES and I'm from SIES, just clearing that record as well. Yes, as an education institute, we don't have the the advantage of the 2% profit, because we are anyway in the industry and we are operating as a trust, so it is technically working as a charity partner in some shape or form, and we are already in a nation building society. We are teaching children starting from a pre-KG to KG to graduation and post-graduation. But our institute felt that, okay, we can do little more because there is so much to do and there is so little in terms of resources also. So the ISR program, that is the institutional social responsibility, I'm not too sure how many education institute have this particular vertical, but we kind of introduced this vertical within the institution. And the focus was on the following. One is village tribal education, because what is our strength? We are into education. We can teach and teach and teach actually. So where is it that we can take it to the next level, the village and the tribal? Now that's number one. Army schools in the rural areas, wherever they needed help, we could. Senior homes, senior care. And it is, senior care is not the care part of it, but you know, how do we build confidence? How do we, by the way, we are teaching them how to use AI these days, and they are using better than any of us, I have a feeling. And they're busy now sending messages in one chat GPT language, you can see it, but I am damn proud of all of them actually. And so, you know, make them a little more happy and confident. So this is our purpose, that we can build confidence. That is, you can never, can anybody measure confidence that quickly? So you can just see it in probably 2-3 years, 10 years also. So this is what we stand for, the 3 pillars largely. From that education part of it, we recently did a management arrangement of a foundation, and now we are called SIES, One India, One People Foundation. There are 5 themes that we are focusing on: patriotism, climate change, to youth and education, to values, and to I'm having a senior moment here. So 5 themes: values, patriotism, climate change, disaster management. These are our core themes that we are focusing on. We have about 112 schools in and around Mumbai and Navi Mumbai. And what do we do here? We go to the schools and conduct activities. You know, what do you do on values? What is respect? What is responsibility? So those small things. What do you mean by ethics? That's number 1. On climate change, we have partnered with UNESCO and teaching them all about SDG, why it is important, what is their role, why now. Literally, they are only saving the world for themselves, technically speaking. We've done enough and more, whatever we could in our own span of time. So these are some of the small initiatives that we are doing. And it's just a small something, and it's a conscious effort that, you know, we just keep easy about it. We make a difference, and we can collaborate with as many NGOs, as many charity partners, as many institutions, schools, colleges. And this is, you know, initiative like this, you can't do it as one institution. You have to work together to build that kind of a sense of belonging. So that's what we are. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. And I think values are nowadays more important than ever. And I think all the schools have also realized that. How do you teach values? So great, thank you, Veena. And Sherin, let me come to you. While you were working with WNS, there is a record which your team has got, which is Asian Book of Records, for creating 46 lakh cyber smart learners. So can you take us through which city it is and how you created that impact about cyber smart learners?
Oh yeah, so that was a feather in the cap for WNS Foundation. It was 7 million. 7 million, yeah. Yeah, 70 lakh students that we were able to certify. So we created a portal called Cyber Smart, in which there was a gamified learning for cybersecurity. And a child could go through age appropriate. So standard 1 to 4, 5 to 7, and 8 onwards up. So they would have age-appropriate learning journeys within the portal, and every child who finished that would get a certificate online there and then. Yeah. And this was envisioned during the pandemic when there was and WNS being a BPM company, there was a lot of feedback that cyber security is becoming a issue because everybody had gone online in the pandemic. So very quickly we came up. By 21 we launched this program, and from then till now we have certified 7 million children, and we also won an Asian Book of Records where in 2 hours one school in Hyderabad was able to do 7,000 certificates in 2 hours. Yeah. So that was a great achievement and something that we really cherish because, and now we have added financial literacy onto that, on the same platform. So there is cybersecurity and financial literacy, which are they are the 2 buttons on the portal. And just to, very interestingly, when Veena pointed out, that the impact that is required, so sometimes the impact can be very small and concentrated. Sometimes the impact can be very large and diffused. So in different situations, there are different kinds of impacts that kick in, and every life we touch for an impact with a purpose, I think we get our thing done. Yeah.
And knowing that cybercrime is rising, I think teaching them young is the best thing which we all can do as a society. Thanks for being part of that project and also winning the
Thank you so much.
award. So Rajeev, since Sherin spoke about impact, how do we balance short-term visibility of any CSR project which we undertake as an organization? You did spoke about Honda's vision for 2050 and with long-term sustainability impact. So how do you do this? Sometimes we are very much focused on short-term and we miss the long-term sustainability.
Yeah, okay. So any project, which we undertake, basically we need to see that, for example, one small example I can give is, एक पेड़ माँ के नाम. This is the, माँ के नाम. So this concept has been given by Modi ji to plant a tree. Okay. Now we internally Honda, we also took a challenge to, we have a 26,000 workforce. So every person, we will put a tree. Okay. So 26,000 trees every year on continuous basis. This is something. But this is something which will give you an immediate kind of relief. Short term, you are just putting a tree. But as a long term, from sustainability point of view, we need to monitor whether, and you need to take care of them. It is not that just planting. But if you don't take care, they will not grow. They'll die down after some time. So it has to be sustainable. You have to take care of the overall, the plantation, the watering, and then you maybe need to hire an NGO who will take care of, all that stuff. So this is one example. On the other side, road safety, which I was talking earlier. So we are, apart from the work which we are doing, short-term work, which is, giving education, giving training, creating awareness, creating training modules for different age groups, on road safety. From the long-term perspective, we want to make them a better citizen, okay, with better driving habits. So we are creating a program now worldwide India, wherein we are identifying, locations or cities which are more, fatality prone. So and make them fatality free. So that kind of project which we are taking, and we are going to start with Jaipur very soon. Jaipur, yeah, Rajasthan. So we identified a lane where we will declare it a fatality free zone. So we need to put a lot of infrastructure, putting cameras and putting a lot of controls. We are also, tying up with police. We are now giving them QRT, quick response team bikes. So 350cc bikes, which will also enforce discipline. Okay, it is. So we'll be giving bikes, yeah. So we are planning to give 250 number bikes in 5 different states. So this will begin from Jaipur. The event is planned on 1st of September. So this is a start. So from the long-term perspective, we need to monitor various activities which we'll be doing. So this is just a beginning.
Very good. Plant a tree and also how to reduce road accident. Also identifying the areas in cities and lanes, which is more important rather than just going pan-India. And also giving the Honda bike. So as a police person, sometimes the budget might not be enough for the traffic police to be able to give those kind of equipments. So great. Very good,
It's
Rajeev.
very important from the enforcement point of view.
So
Those bikes will have LED flashers and everything
Correct.
all fitted into it with sirens, and they will also help like an ambulance. If there is an accident, immediately the relief can be provided by the police.
Immediately.
So that kind of setup.
Wow, fantastic. I'm just remembering of some Hollywood movie in which this police bikes are more sexier than the bikers. So I'm a biker, so I'm just thinking about bikes. Thank you, Rajeev. Let me come to Pragati. Pragati, scaling through communication, since you are also a communication leader, you shape narratives across large network. And could you share a success story where strategic communication amplified purpose, wherein CSR, employee engagement, or diversity?
I think in any industry, any profession, where there is an opportunity to shape culture, which communication, creative thinking has, right? It's a huge responsibility. Because in a sense, you have the power to mirror what is happening in society and the way you shape that narrative. So a lot of this, sir, what you mentioned in terms of, empowering our own people to do that a lot more effectively and strategically for the brands that we work with, there has to be a great deal of learning and unlearning ourselves. So those interventions in terms of, conscious and unconscious bias training is something that the group takes really, really seriously. So say, for instance, we have a global ERG called as Open Pride, which looks at the LGBTQIA plus community and the way they are depicted in popular culture, and how is it that we can further that narrative positively wherever we are working on briefs and campaigns that relate to that community. Because again, we go back to our responsibility that we carry in terms of ensuring that the communication is correct and accurately depicted. Another example I think is a really powerful one is something that we call as Take Two, where we actually revisit a lot of the work that we've done for our brands and our clients, and we look at it from a completely different lens. So we would look at literally smaller aspects of, say, if you've got a set of a home inside a campaign, inside an ad film, you would look at each of those details and say, okay, is it really reflective, or is it sort of pushing a certain type of stereotype? So say, for instance, if you've got a brief saying that, listen, we want to, show a house in rural India, is there a certain type only that you show? Because once again, you have to question yourself whether those same biases are coming to the fore. So I think a lot of these exercises are really powerful because it allows the team to think beyond the obvious and to hopefully share a perspective and think for yourself that you probably not had before.
Fantastic. Take Two is also a good name. In fact, in our college, we used to send our students for NGO projects, and they'll go to a lot of these villages. And a boy or a girl who was born and brought up only in Mumbai has never seen a village until unless if they have ancestors or relatives living. And they were shocked to see all the luxury brands, Pragati, in their homes. So they were able to see Sony Bravia top-end 3D TV inside a rural home running on a battery. They were able to see a most luxurious brand of SUV in the rural area where it's very difficult to take the car also. So what you're saying is right. The way we see and the way actually is And also take two is going back to your own creatives and trying to see, are we promoting stereotyping? Fantastic. I think we have less of time and we are finishing this panel now because I have been signaled by the anchor. So thank you so very much, all the audiences and also the people who are connected through our YouTube live streaming. Thank you, Rajeev, Veena, Sherin, and Pragati. Thank you all.